You wake up. For a split second, maybe half a second, you forget you have a 9 to 5, and then you remember. The water is too hot, but you don't adjust it, you just stand there. You're not really washing yourself, you're preparing, putting on the armor of having it together. Because today, like every day, you have to pretend you know what you're doing. Welcome to your 20s. They told you that this would be the best decade of your life. The freedom, the adventure, the figuring it out phase. But what they didn't tell you, it feels less like an adventure and more like walking into a dark room, hands outstretched, hoping you don't hit a wall. You're a beginner at being an adult, and there's no manual. Let's talk about the job. Your first real job, the one that isn't a summer gig or a part-time hustle. The one with a salary, with health insurance, with a title that sounds professional. You thought this would feel like success. Instead, it feels like a trade. You traded your time, your life, for a paycheck. And the math's is brutal. 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. You do the math in your head during meetings, 2,000 hours a year for this. In school, you were becoming something, learning, growing. There was a finishing line. But here, there's just tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. You're not building a life, you're maintaining one. And the worst part, you can't even complain because you have a job. You're one of the lucky ones. People fought for this position. People need this paycheck. So you smile, you say, it's fine. You tell yourself it's temporary. But some nights you lay awake and think, what if it's not? Then there's them, your parents. They sacrifice everything. Late nights, extra shifts, their dreams, so you could have yours. And now you're here, an adult, with a job, with a life, and all you want, all you've ever wanted, is to make them proud. It's good, you say. But you don't tell them about the existential dread, the feeling that you're wasting your potential, the quiet panic that you're not living up to the person they thought you'd become. You don't tell them because you're getting older. You see it now, the grey hair, the slower walk, the way they forget things. They're not invincible anymore. And suddenly, the pressure isn't just about making them proud, it's about time. How many dinners do you have left with them? How many phone calls? How many chances to say I love you before it's too late? You want to give them everything, proof that their sacrifices weren't in vain. But you're just still figuring it out. And that gap between who you are and who you think they need you to be is suffocating. And then there's love, or whatever you're supposed to call this. You sit across from someone new. They're fine, nice smile, good job. They check the boxes. But you don't feel anything. Or maybe you do, but you're too scared to trust it. Because how are you supposed to love someone when you don't even know who you are yet? You're still becoming. Your values are shifting. Your goals are unclear. Yesterday you wanted one thing, today you want another. So you keep it casual. You don't commit. You tell yourself you're exploring your options. But really, you're terrified. Terrified of choosing wrong. Terrified of being chosen and not being enough. Terrified of falling in love and losing yourself in someone else's story. So you swipe, you date, you ghost, you get ghosted. And each time you tell yourself, I'm just not ready yet. And when will you be? Just think about your 20s. You have too many options. Career paths, cities to live in, hobbies to try, people to become. And every choice feels like closing a door. If you take this job, you can't take that one. If you move to this city, you can't leave that one behind. If you commit to this person, you lose all the others. So you freeze, you overthink. You make pro-con lists, you ask friends for advice, you listen to podcasts about finding your purpose. But none of it helps because the truth is, there is no right answer. You're not choosing between good and bad, you're choosing between different versions of yourself. And that's terrifying. Because what if you choose wrong? What if you waste these years? What if you look back at 30, 40, 50 and think, I should have done it differently? So here's what I've learned, or maybe what I'm trying to learn. Your 20s aren't about having it figured out. They're about learning how to live without having it figured out. The job, it's not your identity, it's a chapter. Maybe a short one, maybe a long one, but it's not the whole book. The parents, they don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present, to call, to visit, to tell them you love them while you still can. Love. It's messy, it's trial and error. You will choose wrong sometimes. You will get your heart broken. You will break hearts. But that's how you will learn who you are. And the choices. There is no right path. There's just your path. And it's okay if it's messy. It's okay if it changes. It's okay if you don't know where it's going. Because this decade, this brutal, beautiful, uncertain decade, isn't about arriving, it's about becoming. What's your biggest struggle in your 20s? Drop it in the comments. Let's figure it out together.